Dear viewers, immigration rules are frequently changing, which is very important for migrant community and all of us. Why won't the world tackle the refugee crisis? Are the High Court judges under pressure by government policy? How deporting people silently? Why immigration detention center misbehaves with detainees? Is the immigration enforcement used by government lawfully? How immigrants are victim of domestic violence? What will be the UK relationship with the European Union after Brexit? Fear spreads. Protests across the world. We should know the reality. I try to collect all the latest immigration news regularly. If you like this video, please stay with us to follow my Facebook page and YouTube channel, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share with your friends. Let's go to the news. The UK's highest courts have ruled that Theresa May broke the law twice in the last month. Supreme Court rules deport first, appeal later is unfair and unlawful. In R. Chiori and Bindloss versus Secretary of State for the Home Department, 2017, UKSC 42, the Supreme Court has struck down deport first, appeal later certificates for 2 foreign criminals. The Home Office had made use of new rules in the Immigration Act 2014 which force some appellants to leave the UK before their appeal takes place, meaning that they are not present to give evidence. Of 1,175 cases in which these powers have so far been used, only 72 individuals attempted to pursue an appeal from abroad. None succeeded. The deport first, appeal later rules were originally applied only to foreign criminals facing deportation. However, the Immigration Act 2016 expanded Home Office powers, and any appellant can now be forced to leave the UK prior to their appeal taking place, other than in asylum cases. This includes EU nationals facing deportation. The Supreme Court judgment therefore has very wide implications, not just blowing a hole in a flagship Home Office policy much championed by Theresa May when she was Home Secretary, but since expanded to almost all appeals. Brexit. More than half of skilled EU workers in UK say they are going to leave. Healthcare, technology, media, telecoms and financial services sectors will be the worst hit, according to survey. Destitute immigrants in UK are threatened with having children removed. We'll house your children, but not you, scores of families are told by local authorities. Homeless immigrants are being told they can secure housing for their children but not themselves, effectively forcing them to break up their family or sleep rough with their children, The Guardian has learned. Lower skilled immigration brings the UK no benefits. From Lord Hodgson of Astley Abbots, House of Lords, UK. Sir, the bold statement in your editorial Britain's chance to open serious debate on Brexit, June 12, that free movement of labour has been much to Britain's benefit requires serious qualification. Limited highly skilled immigration does benefit Britain, but mass lower skilled immigration, whether from the EU or elsewhere, does not. Grenfell Tower fire, thousands call on Home Office to issue visas to parents of Syrian victim Mohammed Alhajali. We need to get their voices heard, says Myrna by a friend who launched the campaign. More than 40,000 people have signed a petition calling for the Home Office to award emergency visas to the parents of a Syrian refugee who was killed in the Grenfell Tower fire. Mohammed Alhajali's mother and father have applied for permission to visit the UK so they can pay their respects and be reunited with his brother Omar, who survived the devastating fire. The brothers came to Britain to seek a better life after escaping from their home city of Dara, the birthplace of the Syrian revolution. They were granted asylum in the UK. Civil engineering student Mohammed, 23, perished as he was besieged by billowing smoke. He was trying to follow Omar, 25, down the stairs of the burning North Kensington building. Britons with no passport struggling to rent due to immigration checks. Almost half of private landlords say the right to rent scheme has made them less likely to let to those without a UK passport. About 17% of UK citizens do not have a passport, meaning they could inadvertently lose out under the immigration checks, according to the research carried out by the Residential Landlords Association. Remittances help migrants' families and the UK. This is a win-win situation, for individuals and countries receiving remittances and for a more financially and socially inclusive UK. The nature of Britain's economy puts it in a unique position to be able to help the current remittance framework. We are struggling to find workers, staff shortages as agriculture gets caught in immigration crossfire. Labour shortages have already started to hit the UK farm sector, fueling fears the 2017 season could be disaster for growers, with crops being left to rot in the field. What drove Labour's success? A tough line on immigration, and an appeal to the middle class. Half of UK employers unprepared for immigration changes, think tank. Almost half of British employers are unprepared for the government's planned changes to immigration rules after Brexit, a survey from the Resolution Foundation think tank showed on Monday. Illegal workers found in raid at RML in Tiptree, including one who begged to be taken home. Immigration officers found a trio of suspected illegal workers at a raid at an Indian restaurant, including one who said he was only eating rice and another who was desperate to return home. Essex Police has lodged a bid to revoke the licence of the Balti Ranch, which trades as RML, on Station Road, Tiptree, because no right-to-work checks are being carried out by management. Ahead of a hearing before Colchester Council's licensing subcommittee next week, details of a raid on the premises in March have been released. In a statement, Chief Immigration Officer Justin Davis said he spoke to a man who had only just begun working in the restaurant's kitchen, had no passport, had not been paid and was only eating rice. 14,000 people may die trying to reach safety as UK negotiates Brexit and new immigration rules. Oxfam urges new government to use changes to immigration laws to do more to help refugees. Sky Views, cutting immigration may crash economy. Sam Kiley, Foreign Affairs Editor. So the Prime Minister declares an end to austerity. Not because she thinks it would be good for Britain, but because she thinks it would be good for Theresa May. Why? Because Jeremy Corbyn said austerity was bad, and he got lots of votes and won some seats and made Mrs. May look like a member of the nasty party, which is odd, since there once was a time when she tried to uninvent that organisation with the right old telling off to the Tories. But she's still putting a tin ear to what might really matter for this country. Why, for example, continue to insist that there is no change in the Brexit plan from before her moment of hilarious hubris led her off a cliff in the general election. She remains, ho-ho, committed to cutting immigration into the tens of thousands. This doesn't make sense economically or politically. Thank you for staying with me. See you in the next video.